Uma madam, is there any other type of file? I mean, unfortunately, it's not supporting this PPT while I'm trying to upload.
Rakesh, shall I send you? I have opened it, so that's working on my system. So you want me to send you?
No, thing is, when we are, I'm trying to browse that file from my system, it's not showing. I think format is PPT they shared, right? Hello.
Just let me share.
Do one thing, ma'am. Save it as a PDF and send it to me.
Okay, I'll do that.
It's a regular PPT file, Rakesh. I mean, you're not able to open it, right? It's PPT. It's the latest version of Microsoft Office.
Okay. No, I can able to open it, but when I'm trying to upload onto the Okta platform.
Okay.
It has been saved as PPSX. Money.
Yeah, PPSX is slideshow, Manisha. That's all. It's same as PPT. If you can run a PPT, you should be able to run PPS. But as he says, maybe you may want to save it as a PDF file.
It is not letting me save.
Can you just type in Rajesh's email? I'll save it and send it across. Anisha, should I send it over to you?
Yeah, I'll send it over to me. Just as PDF, if you send it, I'll forward it to. Maybe buzz Manisha once.
Leave you joining in just 1 minute.
Okay, right. Thank you. Rakesh, I can send it to you on WhatsApp.
Yes. At what time we can go live, ma'am? Sharp 3 or 3:05, 3:10?
3:05. Let us do it 3:05.
3:05. Okay.
And you will know when people log in.
Yes.
Okay. So let Manisha join. We'll give her 2 minutes and then we can go live.
Sure.
Rajesh, what is your phone number? I'm not able to locate it, or I'll send it to you on email only. What is your email, Rajesh? Rajesh. Rakesh, I sent you on.
Okay, madam.
Got it?
Yes.
Manisha is also joined. So we can start at 3:05. Hi, Manisha. Hi. हाँ 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 ओके ओके Rakesh, we can start off exactly at.
Madam, is this okay, right? So
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
if you want, I can make you a presenter. Then you can slide.
Yeah,
Like,
that will be better. Then I start, right? It's not, it's going to be the
fine.
second one. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I would prefer to actually scroll up and down. That will be better.
So, any confirmations on the number of students who are joining, Rakesh, or we don't have that idea?
That we will know once we start the live streaming.
Okay. So, can you figure out Manisha's audio is connected or? Because my intro is small and I want her to be ready.
Anisha madam, audio not connected.
Okay, Uma, in case Manisha is not able to join, can we flip the this thing? You can start off and Manisha can
Sure.
finish it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't want people to keep waiting. It's already.
But I
I'm
don't
just-
know whether she's joining or not. Then otherwise, um, she's able to join before my intro is done. Then I can introduce her, or I have to introduce you. Okay, we are at 3:05. So Rakesh, we can start rolling. So I will start the.
Okay,
We'll
madam.
go with Uma's presentation first. I will be introducing Uma first.
Fine.
When it's live, just let me know.
Yeah, it is live now.
A very warm welcome to all the students and faculty who have joined us today for this very important intervention, Ignite Spark, by HYSEA in collaboration with TASK. Hyderabad Software Enterprises Association, more popular as HYSEA, is a unique ITS industry association that is 30 plus years old and has more than 300 plus registered members. And we represent more than 90% of Hyderabad's IT industry in revenue and employee headcount. Task, you all must be aware, organization created by Government of Telangana for bringing synergy among institutions of government, industry, and academia with an objective of offering quality human resources and services to the industry. We both have come together to launch this unique intervention, Ignite Spark. You must be wondering, what are we doing talking to you? We believe we are talking to the future of the IT industry. Through the Ignite Spark intervention, HYSEA seeks to focus on creating career consciousness and on skill building for young women out there on the cusp of their careers. It will also provide the bright ones an opportunity to interact in person with successful women leaders from the industry. Without much ado, let us talk about today's topic, growth mindset. And it's privilege to have two of industry's most accomplished leaders to talk to us about it. I take great pride in introducing our first speaker of the day.
Manisha is there.
Oh, Manisha is there? Yes.
Manisha just
Uh,
joined.
yeah. First speaker of the day, Ms. Manisha Sabu, President HYSEA. Manisha has more than 20 years experience in the IT industry and currently is Vice President and Center Head of Infosys Hyderabad SEZ, an indoor campus. She has ensured stellar contribution of Infosys in Telangana by building symbiotic relationship with academia, government, and IT industry. As a women leader, she is committed to helping other women build careers, be it inspiring young girl students to pursue career, enabling young women returning to work, or guiding mid-level women managers with their career aspirations. Telangana government has honored her with Women Achiever Award for her leadership in corporate world. I shouldn't forget to mention she also has the honor of being the first ever women president of HYSEA. Thank you, Manisha, for being with us here. Over to you.
Thank you, Neeraja. Thank you so much. I'm really very happy to be talking to these young ladies from college who are the future of India and who are going to make us all proud as we move forward. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to connect with the younger generation. And the subject is growth mindset. So when I think about growth mindset, one story which comes to my mind is the tortoise and the rabbit story. I'm sure all of you have heard that story. Neeraj, I'm not able to see chat box. Is they visible somewhere?
If you go to the top left corner of your screen, you see a small human figure there, and there you have public chat.
We lose her, Nirja?
I
Hey,
think
Neeraj,
so, but she log in, no problem.
I am not able to read the chat box, but you can, right?
Yes, I can. I can.
Will you be kind enough to read whenever I ask the question on chat box what are the
Sure,
answers we're
sure.
getting?
I
Thank
will.
you so much for being my partner in the crime. Okay, thank you so much. First, I want to know, have you heard the story of rabbit and tortoise? Please say yes if you have heard it. Actually, I should be getting equal number of yes as the people who are present in the call. Neerja, are we getting any yes?
Not yet.
Oh my God, are you telling me that there are no people in the call?
No, ma'am. Actually, student link is streaming link. That chart you can't see right now. That I will
Okay.
copy from there and paste it here.
Okay, please do that. No?
Yeah, because there are quite a few questions I'm going to ask because I want to keep it interactive. So chat box is the only way we can communicate. And this is my trial question. Okay, how does
Sure.
chat work?
Give me a minute. Just a minute.
So, Rakesh, you can tell us whether they said yes or not.
Yeah.
Not connected. So Neerja, I joined on phone because my laptop refused to connect to the link.
Sometimes firewalls prevent connecting with some video conferencing platforms. Yeah, we have faced some problems in the past also. But Uma was able to connect without any trouble.
That's what. So I actually logged in about 5-10 minutes before Manisha to
Yeah.
make sure that I can. Otherwise, I would have had to call our IT team to open this.
My IT team is sitting right next to me trying to get that to work. Not helping yet.
Maybe you may want to continue, Manisha. I think.
Okay,
Yes.
so what are the responses you're getting?
We received yes, ma'am. Mr. Monica from TTWRDC, Telangana Social Welfare Residential College, and Chandini from University College of MGU.
Okay.
So can
Okay.
you at least count how many yes we got? Just very, is
It's,
it 10, 20, 50?
it's almost 300 and plus, ma'am.
Wow.
Okay, good. So, so everybody has heard the story. Now, what is the relevance? The next question is more important, and that's where Rakesh, I'll depend on you to read out the responses to us. At least a sample responses of 10, 20, you please read when I ask this question when people respond. So when you think about tortoise and rabbit, we all know that tortoise won, in spite of being the slowest creature, or rather, I should not say slowest, one of the very slow creatures, the animal, and still the tortoise won. Why? What did he do right? Can you please think about it? That what is it that tortoise did right, and put it in the chat box. How come tortoise won the race when he's one of the slower ones, and rabbit lost it when he was the fastest, presumably the fastest animal, and definitely much, much, much faster than the tortoise? Actually speaking, tortoise shouldn't even have thought or even accepted to go in a race with rabbit if he was in his right senses, presumably. But he accepted the challenge, and not just accepted, won it. What did he do right from your perspective? Rakesh, are we getting any responses?
Unfortunately, no, ma'am.
Okay, so I definitely
I
need
think,
to see responses.
Still, it's yes, ma'am, continuing.
oh, okay. They're still responding to your previous question.
Niharika said that rabbit had a good. Sorry? Tata is had good mind than rabbit.
Manisha, did you hear?
I missed it, Neeraj.
So, rabbit had what? Good?
Tortoise had good mind.
Tortoise had good mind. Okay. What else? What do you think? Why do you think tortoise won? I
He
seriously
won
need to
because
hear the
of
responses
This
from you.
medium, I don't think,
consistency.
is very conducive for an interactive session, I think, Manisha. They'd
Yeah.
better hear you, I think.
Hey, they are answering. Let's give them
They are
time.
answering. They're answering.
They're answering. So
He
reading
won
something.
because of his consistency.
He won because of his consistency. Great.
Rabbit has
Okay.
played well mindset that slow and steady win the race.
Slow is fine, but steady is important. So slow and steady wins the race. No, we'll leave it. But there is no charger. There is on the Okay. Any other responses, Rakesh?
No, ma'am. Or else
No.
you can open a if you have the system, you can open the streaming link. That is one more link I shared with the team. Over there, you can directly see the chart.
But that's okay. As far as you can read it out, we are good. So yes, so we have some responses, and that gives us a good ground to start discussion. Um, when it comes to the tortoise, one thing which tortoise did right is not to worry about rabbit, not to worry about what are the strengths the rabbit has. It focused on what is it that tortoise himself has. So he focused on what is he good at instead of worrying about what all the other people are doing, or what is rabbit. Rabbit can run faster and all of that. He knew that I can walk, right? I cannot run maybe, but I can walk. And so let me do what I'm good at, that I'll walk. So that focus on your own strengths and the confidence in your strengths is the first part which he got it right. If you would have thought about, oh, rabbit is faster, oh, you know what, rabbit is somebody who will always win because there's no way I can run as fast as he can, so I am going to lose, so why even take up the challenge? He would have lost the race even before it began. I think the first thing about from my perspective, the first thing that is important for the growth mindset is to have an understanding of your own strength and not worry about what are the strengths other have, and take the challenge. Start walking. If you can't walk, crawl. It's okay, but start the journey. The first and the most important step is to accept the challenge and move forward, even if it is 1 millimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 inch at a time. That is what I think tortoise did right by accepting the challenge without worrying about what is it that rabbit bring, without getting scared of rabbit or without getting scared of the goal ahead of him. The second thing which is important is he did not give up, as we heard even from the response that slow and steady. He may have been slow, right? But he continued the journey, persistence, grit. Multiple people, very, very accomplished people, when they were asked if there's one thing which you want to say about why you are so successful, they have said that grit. It's not about intelligence. It is not about how what is your background. Doesn't depend where you come from, which college you are studying in, what are your marks in the LKG and UKG and college, which college you got admission, who are your parents. Many times we feel, oh, his parents are so, he's already such a well-to-do family, then he will only be the, or she will only do everything great. No, doesn't matter where you come from. What is your pedigree in some sense? Because tortoise is tortoise, rabbit is rabbit. It doesn't matter. You're born as something, doesn't make a difference. What makes a difference is where are you headed? Who do you want to be? What are your aspirations? What do you want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Can you visualize it? And can you work towards it steady, one step at a time, but move forward? I think that is another thing which the tortoise did right. If I have to really think about it, the third thing which the tortoise did right was not to worry about what is the competitor doing. Imagine when the tortoise crossed the rabbit who was sleeping, he could have very easily said, oh, he's sleeping, I also want to sleep. Why should I only work? Many times in college or office, we see many people deciding what they will do or will not do based on what is neighbor doing and what they're not doing. And if he would also say, ki, okay, rabbit is relaxing, I want to relax. Why should I do all the running? Let me also relax. बाद में देखेंगे क्या होगा. So that is not what he did. He continued his journey. He let rabbit do whatever he wanted to do. He continued walking slow and steady without taking a break, without saying, okay, I also want to relax. I also have life. Why should I do all the work? Nothing. He said, okay, this is the race. This is a goal I have decided for myself. I am going to give my best for it. Doesn't matter who is my opponent, what is my opponent doing. I will continue to walk the path. And he continued and he won. And if you want to be the winner, you need to have this growth mindset of having courage to take up the challenge and grit to continue working persistently and thinking about your strengths and giving your best to the job on hand. That is what will make you a winner when it comes to the growth mindset. So yes, Neerja, that was the small conversation which I wanted to have, though I kind of finally made it monologue, but this was the thing which I wanted to communicate. Very simple story. very simple things to learn and take away and um, make them part of our day-to-day life.
Yeah, and when that story comes from the vice president and center head of Infosys, I think there's a different meaning to it, and people know that it works. The formula works. It has worked. So uh, we will take the questions in the end, Manisha. If students have any questions for you, we will take it in the end.
Okay, so but I will anyway tell the audience that if you have any questions, please those post them. We may not take them right now, but
Hmm.
when if you have something on the top of the mind, please put those in the chat box.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so students, I think you got the gist of Manisha's talk. Focus on your strength, take the challenge, and start the journey. Persist, and you will be successful. And our next speaker is a veteran of the IT industry, Ms. Uma Gogineni, Chief People Officer of Value Momentum, has served in various roles in global delivery, product strategy, and human resources. She has over 30 years of professional experience in IT consulting industry and has executed successful consulting assignments with numerous clients in India and North America. She is currently serving as Chief People Officer and board member at Value Momentum. Her mission is to build high performance teams and leadership to enable rapid growth while cultivating a sense of fun, fellowship, and pride in the workplaces. Uma is also a managing committee member of HYSEA, and she leads our diversity initiatives. Thank you, Uma. Over to you now.
Good afternoon, all. I hope you can hear me. And thanks a lot, Manisha, for setting that context. And I'll probably extend whatever you mentioned, focus more on the steady part of it than the strength part of it. And so before, I mean, I've seen the challenges in interaction. So whatever questions I ask, I want you to just think about it. I'm not expecting responses from you. I just want you to reflect on how long you expect to work. I understand you're all in your third and fourth year engineering or final year of your undergraduate degree. Now, if you were to start next year or a year later, how many years do you expect to work? Put it down on a piece of paper in front of you. Now, with that set aside, do you know the frequency at which new technologies are being introduced? Do you think something is being introduced every 20 years, every 15 years, 10 years, 5 years? How long is the time span between two new major technologies being introduced now? Again, put it down on a piece of paper next to you. On an average basis, your understanding, your interaction with elders in your family, how long does each technology last before it becomes kind of dead and gone? Okay, I am assuming you have thought about all this, and I'll tell you the relevance of these questions as we go along in the next few minutes. The average life expectancy in India today is already 71. For the class of students that I'm assuming we have here, probably the life expectancy is already 75. In another 5-10 years, probably expectancy will go up to 80 for this socioeconomic class. So all of you will live up to 80 minimum. Assuming that you're all max of 21, 22, you are looking at a work life of about 50 years. I want that to sink in. Your work life starting from next year will probably be working for 5 decades. 50 years. Again, I'm assuming all of you understand a bit of Telugu, a bit of Hindi. And to make it a little more colloquial, I'll probably switch to Telugu and Hindi basis whatever is relevant. ఇంకొక 50 ఏళ్ళు మీరు పనిచేస్తూ ఉంటారు. And the answer to the next question, I don't know what you have all written, but today a new technology is being introduced every 18 to 24 months, 1.5 to 2 years. So in your lifespan, if you start with the latest technology when you start your career, you will see at least 30 new technologies being introduced by the time you finish your 50 years of working. When we started, I mean, I know I started probably much before Manisha. A technology that was there, I know some of my colleagues who just worked on one technology and retired with that technology. So they were experts, they knew in and out of that particular technology, but they could work successfully for about 30 years. So most of us have a work life of about 30 years. Now, if you see some 30 new technologies, you may want to continue working on the same technology that you start with, but that's where the third question comes in. On an average, how long does each technology last? Technologies get outdated very, very fast now. The maximum life of a new technology is about 4 years or 5 years. But by then, you would be considered as a legacy technology resource. Okay, so when you start working now, you're looking at 30 new generations of technologies and each technology getting outdated every 4 or 5 years. What this means is that, as I said, there is a knowledge profile of each individual resource. In the past, as I said, generation, if I had the deep expertise of one technology with an understanding, a general understanding of business, we could be very successful in our careers. So that is called a T shape of knowledge. You have broad understanding of multiple things, but one technology in which you're an expert, you're good to go. But the emerging need now is that every individual needs to have deep expertise in multiple technologies. Okay, as I said, if a technology is changing, new technologies are being introduced every 18 to 24 months. That is, let's take it as 2 years. If a technology kind of becomes outdated in about 4 years, and if you need to work for 50 years, you need to continuously keep acquiring expertise on newer and newer technologies. So initially, this became from T to a pi, which had 2 legs, and then to an M, which has 3 legs. Now people are talking of a comb. That basically means you need to acquire that many depth in that many technologies as you continue your work life. If there are any questions, we can take up later, but I hope that's understood. That means you have no option but to continue to learn. Okay? If I've managed to establish that, we need to look at how do we learn. Right? How do I make sure that the scale at which I learn becomes more rapid, and I abstract certain principles from what I'm learning to any new future technologies that come up. So for that, I want you to start with a simple exercise. I'm assuming all of you have a pen and a paper with you. Look at your dominant hand. When I say dominant hand, if you always write with your right hand, that's your dominant hand. If you write with your left hand, that's your dominant hand. Take a piece of paper and pen, and with your dominant hand, write your name as many times as you can in 1 minute. Your time starts now. Go ahead and start writing. 60 seconds exactly. You're all wondering why? Write your name, your own name, as many times as possible. I do know some of you probably have longer names. Some of you have short names like mine with just 3 letters. But I'm not having a competition in terms of how many times you write your name. So please feel free to write as many times as you can get. Again, my stopwatch is saying 30 seconds, 1 minute is up. So please stop. Now take that same pen with your other hand. My dominant hand is right. Now take it in your left hand, if right hand is your dominant hand. And on the other side of that paper, please write your name as many times as you can. Again, for 1 minute. I'm sure it is difficult initially, but as you increase the number of times that you write, your speed improves. I'm sure you've looked at the angle at which you're holding the pen, corrected it so that you can write faster and more legibly. Hopefully, by the end of this 1 minute, you will be able to read your own name. Or better yet, others can read the name even when you write with your non-dominant hand. All right, the second minute is also up. Now, later on, if you're able to speak, I would like you to share your experience on how writing with your non-dominant hand was and how many changes you did in your style of writing. I would also like to know how many of you have given up, saying that, oh, I'm not good at this. I can't do this. This is not my cup of tea. Okay? Now, as we look at the need for constant learning from you all, and the fact that a lot of us have a tendency to give up things that we are uncomfortable with, we need to first become experts at learning. How do I learn new things constantly? Right, as Manisha was mentioning about this tortoise and hare. Tortoise runs fast, yes. It probably started with a mile advance than the tortoise, but it was very arrogant. It thought it doesn't need to learn anything anymore. Right? So basically, it just decided that, yes, I've become an expert in that first technology that we were talking about, and decided he doesn't need to learn anything anymore. On the other hand, you have a tortoise which is consistently continuing. It did not bother, oh, do I have the strength here? Can I do it? It said, essentially, if I try, I'll make it. So we just continued and improved as it went along. That's exactly how we all learn. We're all unfamiliar. Remember, I'm sure you've heard a lot of stories about how we learn to walk, and I'm sure your grandparents, your parents would have told you stories about how many times you fell, how much you cried, and how they managed to get you to walk. You did not stop learning to walk. But when it comes, as we become older, we kind of stop experimenting. But the journey from being unfamiliar with anything to familiarity or mastery is always the same. What you see on the screen is called the S curve. When you start at the lower end, it's always very painful. It looks as though you're not making any progress. I'm sure when you started writing with your non-dominant hand, you could not even get the letters properly, writing your own name. It is painful. You keep wondering, this is not for me. But slowly, as you persist, as you improve the angle of the pen, the way you hold the pen, probably by the end of it, you're able to write the name properly. As I said, maybe somebody else that you give to will be able to read your name. That basically means you've reached the end of what is called as the launch point. This is painful stage. You have to keep persisting at it, even though you feel this is actually worthless. Now that's when the time for accelerated learning starts. That's called the sweet spot of learning. where you're learning the maximum. I'm sure in your first 2 years of engineering, probably this is where you would be right now. Because you've learned your basics are right now. You know how to hold the pen. You know the angle at which you want to hold the pen. You know which fingers you want to use. Some people use the first two fingers, some people use the middle finger. Once you reach that comfort level, you know that, okay, these are my ways of learning, and start picking up very fast. This second stage is where your maximum learning is. Now, the third stage is where you have attained mastery. That means, okay, you can probably write with your left hand as well as you write with your right hand, or probably same speed with dominant and non-dominant hands, as they call it, because you could be a lefty. Now, for you all to basically succeed in your careers, this learning to learn is what you need to master. Now, I'll tell you the relation of this to growth mindset. I know most of you are wondering by now. We talked about the knowledge profile earlier, the T-shaped and the M-shaped knowledge profile. If you recall, M moving towards comb now. If you continue to remain on the T-shaped knowledge profile, yes, you will reach mastery, but your career graph will look like the first one, where you've learned, you've basically accelerated your learning, you reached one peak. But afterwards, there's nowhere else to go. You fall off. Because as I told you again when I started, new technologies are getting introduced every 2 years. Existing technologies are almost becoming outdated or non-used after 4 years. That means once you reach the mastery, there's no other place for you to go except down. Which is where your journey needs to look like this. A series of S curves. Before you reach your mastery on the first learning path, you need to start on your second learning journey. And similarly, once you reach your end of second learning journey, start on the third. And hopefully, because you've learned how to learn, not just learning a new technology, but you've learned how to learn something new, this should become shorter and shorter, and you'll reach mastery faster. But this is the only way, that being on the continuous learning path is the only way for us to succeed in careers. Now, what do you need in order to do that? Okay, because as we discussed, you have many peaks to conquer, you have a long journey. 50 years, as I told you, I want to constantly keep reminding you. You're at 21, 22 now, you'll probably expect to work for 50 years. That journey is long. And there are multiple peaks, one after the other, to conquer. What do you need in order to conquer this is basically what is called as growth mindset. Grit, as that perseverance or persistence that Manisha talked about, is important. That is only when it is accompanied by growth mindset. Are there any questions, or are we taking questions towards the end, Nirja?
We'll take towards the end, Uma.
Okay. So, what is growth mindset? There are supposed to be two ways of looking at the world or looking at anything new. Now, what you see in red, you just decide I can do this or not. There's no point trying. Now, the tortoise, again, I'm going back to Manisha's story. The tortoise could have easily taken that approach, saying there's no way I would have won. But it decided to get out of its comfort zone and try to do whatever it was supposed to do and make sure that it's continuing on that path. It is trying. Okay, so it has adopted what is called as the growth mindset. What growth mindset implies is that you believe you're not born with a fixed intelligence level, that you can achieve anything if you try. I cannot do it yet. Only till now, it's a weakness for me. But if I keep trying, it will become my strength. I can't do it yet, but if I persist, I can. Everything can be learned if you put in the effort. That is the growth mindset. And that's where that series of S curves comes into, because you have to constantly keep on that journey. Okay, now again, as I said, this is a little more scientific too. There is a lot of science going on because of this rapid pace of change in technology. There's a lot of research going into how do people learn. And that's when they found that there are actually two kinds of mindsets called fixed mindset and growth mindset. There is a Stanford University professor called Carol Dweck, which has done a lot of research to find out what makes learners learn and what makes people who have started with a lot of promise. That is, in our parlance, we call he's very intelligent and he's a born leader. Or we keep saying that. Now, why is it that people who started with so many advantages don't go as far as we expect them to? That is, don't really succeed in their both life journey as well as professional journeys. Now, I do not know if you're able to read this, but let me just talk about what fixed mindset is all about. A fixed mindset uh, essentially assumes that you're born with a certain level of intelligence and you continue to use it throughout your life. There's no point in trying if you don't get it in the first 10 minutes type. So that's why I said, how many of you have given up writing with your non-dominant hand? Instead of continuing to try, you said, okay, this is not my cup of tea and given up. Now that's where, if you recall the hare, right, the rabbit, basically knew it started with a lot of advantage. It decided to use it, but not really constantly continue on that path. It was so arrogant that it just decided to sleep on the way. So you start with an assumption that I have this much, I will do this. Beyond that, I can't do anything else because this is my fixed capability. So they avoid any kind of challenges. They give up easily when they're stuck with the first roadblock. If you recall my S curve, the one at the bottom is very flat, almost looks like you're not learning anything. Anytime you encounter such a roadblock, people with a fixed mindset give up and they don't think effort is of any use because you are born with a fixed intelligence. And they think instead of failing in my efforts and getting criticized by others, I would rather give up completely. So you end up on that first S curve where you reach a plateau and fall off. In contrast, anybody with a growth mindset basically looks at anything as learnable. I can learn this, I can learn that, provided I put in enough effort and put in the effort in a right manner. So that's where it differs a little from the steadiness of effort. You're just not putting in hours and hours and hours of work. But after every 2 hours, you're actually looking at what am I doing right. As I said, when you're writing, you try to hold the pen straight or use the right kind of fingers that make it easy for you to write. So you examine what you've been doing and correct it. So to that extent, your additional efforts are actually giving you some benefits. So essentially, anybody with a growth mindset leads in the desire to learn. And because of that, they embrace challenges. They seek challenges. They look at, okay, what else is there for me to conquer? What is my next S curve? What do I get on so that my growth is ensured? Okay. And if at all there are setbacks in that flat part of your S curve, if I have problems, either I find a better way or I seek help from others who are better at it so that I'm learning from others' experiences and probably accelerating my S curve so that my bottom part of S is not that prolonged, but it is shorter. Okay. And they see efforts as the necessary path to mastery. That is, you can't really get anything without hard work. It's not that, all the things that we say about that he's a gifted singer or he's a gifted dancer or he's born with a talent or a natural leader. All that has been proved to be wrong by science. You try, you put in your effort, you can succeed at everything. Okay, now that is the growth mindset, and that is a mindset that all of you need to adopt. Again, given the industry you've chosen, the IT industry, where there are changes happening every 2 years, where things are becoming obsolete every 4 years, and going back, you will continue to work for 50 years. Okay, now because of this kind of consistent effort, constantly examining how you are putting in the effort, people with a growth mindset succeed faster. Now, I'm sure you follow some of the leaders. Satya Nadella, when he studied in regular schools, regular colleges, is not from an IIT, not from an NIT. He studied in Manipal. Even the university that he studied in the US is not a very greatly ranked university, the University of Wisconsin. But one thing he said was that he always worked hard. He said even in his earlier days, he worked 16 to 18 hours. And he always raised his hand. That is, if there is a new opportunity that came up, he said, I always raised my hand. I know you probably all of you are very young, even to see, where he was when Microsoft was considering a successor to the earlier CEO. He was not even there in the initial list. I think 4 or 5 lists, Satya Nadella's name was not even mentioned. But looks like he's actually worked on what he would do if he's chosen as the CEO of Microsoft and presented to the board. And he lived up to it, right? Today he's considered one of the best CEOs Microsoft ever had. So that is the impact of hard work and making sure that you're interested, you're identifying the next growth line. Now, it doesn't mean that all of us are having a fixed mindset all the time. There may be some aspects you may say, for instance, I have a very fixed mindset about dancing. I definitely don't think I can dance. But anything else, any new learning, any new language, basically, for instance, I hardly ever walked before, but I decided that I'll actually run 10K. And in about 4 months' time, I was able to do it by basically taking a systematic approach. So you need to identify in what aspects you have a fixed mindset. That is where you think, I don't want to learn, or I cannot learn this. This is not my cup of tea. And where you think you're okay to learn, where you find to come out of your, as they say, the comfort zone. And identify if that is relevant to you. See, if I had taken that fixed mindset approach to, let's say, technology and learning, I would probably have given up my job probably 15, 20 years ago. So identify areas that are relevant to you and see, okay, how is this relevant to me? Then in that case, let me learn. So how you respond in a particular situation and how you analyze that situation and move forward makes all the difference to you. Now, what do you, oh, sorry, I don't know if you're able to read this. You can't read it, right?
No, it's slightly bright.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, let me read it. So basically, what I wanted to show is how is it that you adopt the growth mindset. I'll ask Rakesh to share this presentation with you all. In a very hard circumstance, right? You see the rock there, you see a plant coming out where probably very inhospitable area, but you all know how seedling germinates and becomes a plant. It basically remains internal for a long time, for about 15 days before the first thing comes out of the seed. I mean, if any of you have observed how egg hatches or a seed germinates, you will see that it's a very, very, very small process. You almost don't see a difference for the first 15 days to 1 month. But afterwards, you see a leaf coming out, and probably in about 2 days, it becomes this long. That's exactly what I was trying to represent here, that under very hard circumstances, this plant is growing up. Now, what you need to do is, in order to remain on that growth journey, you have to identify what mindset you're actually adopting in a given situation. One second, guys. I'm also not able to read, so I'm going to pick up my local version. Now, whenever you get into a situation of, let's say, I can't do this, this is too difficult for me, you tell yourself, I can't do this yet. That means understanding that whatever you consider as your weakness is not a final weakness. It's only something that's a weakness now. And then examine what you have learned in the past, right? I'm sure you have learned something new in the past. Let's say, did you learn cycling? Did you learn how to code, how to build, a Python based application or some kind of a website? I'm sure you were new to all those at some point. What all did you do? What did you do in the first 1 week? What did you do in the second week? When did you actually reach out for help? So, analyzing your own patterns of learning. And when was the time you started on that growth curve that I was showing you earlier, in that S curve? That basically helps you get on that learning journey and constantly get used to getting out of your comfort zone. That comfort zone where you feel that, okay, I'm good on this, I will take this up. You need to make sure that every time you're raising your hand, as Satyanarella did, that if there's a new project or new challenge that somebody is throwing at you, go ahead and say, I don't know yet, but I will learn. I can always, with this kind of effort, I'll learn. And maybe I need some mentors or help from somebody who will be able to guide me on this path. And then once you take up that opportunity, set very clear and specific goals. So don't say I'll learn this language after 6 months or in 6 months' time. Specify what you will do in the first 1 week. Okay, let's say when I went on this my physical fitness journey, I said, okay, in the first 1 week, I'll make sure that I walk 10,000 steps a day. It's only in the third week that I started jogging a little. And I could only jog 50 steps. Beyond that, my heart would just give up. My BP would go up to some 170. So I had to slow down. So specify what you will achieve in week 1, week 2. And if you're not able to get there, examine what you have done in week 1 and week 2 and correct that process. So let's say if you're learning a new language, let's say a Python or whatever, a technology like Salesforce, look at what is a learning journey recommended by that company and basically look at what you've been able to do and where you're getting stuck. And there are tons of resources that are available on the web for you to identify those areas and correct those. And make sure that if there are experts that are available to you, you constantly seek that feedback from them. Okay? And once you learn how to learn, it becomes easy. Once you've picked up the first 3 technologies, the fourth one becomes easy. As long as when you're learning the first 3, you're actually making sure that you're learning the principles and not just, let's say, if you're learning Java to something else, you're not just by hearting the what's called as the syntax, right? You learn what are the concepts underlying it, okay? And then that concepts you'll be able to apply anywhere else. As I said, examining how you're learning and how you're progressing will help you get on your next growth curve or next S curve faster. Okay? And that's where, again, if you go back to Manisha's story of the tortoise, it is very important for the tortoise to continue, but I'm sure it also identified certain shortcuts to get to where it wants to be. And that's what it's also written actually in some extensions to the hare and the tortoise story. While hare relied on its innate knowledge and capabilities that I can run faster than the tortoise and basically slept, the tortoise just kept going, identifying certain shortcuts and making sure it reached much faster. Okay, and that's exactly the same pattern that we need to apply to our learning journey. And you don't have an option but to learn. That's something that I want to make sure you all understand. You have to continuously be on that learning journey. So get smarter about learning, adopt what is being called as growth mindset, where you don't ever say, I don't know this. I don't know this yet. It's only till now I do not know. But I'm going to put the effort now. I'm sure within a few months I'll become an expert. So we never change in one giant leap. You can't say that in 6 months I'll be an expert. The important step that both you or I or anybody can take is always the first step. Make sure you define your goals for week 1, week 2, week 3, and continue on that journey. Okay, I hope I've given some idea of why you need to learn and how you can learn better. And I'm sure there'll be some detailed classes that will be conducted later on. But any questions, anything that I can take up now? But Nirja.
Sure, Uma. There are a couple of questions which I think, though they look very generic, but I would like to know what you think about it. This is Sahiti wanting to ask you how to improve concentration while we are preparing. I mean, she has asked while we are in preparation, but I think she means while they're preparing for something. So, how do they improve the concentration?
I think again there are some fairly proven kind of methods. Stay away from distractions. Stay away completely from a lot of the digital media that is out there. So in fact, whenever I get into a meeting, my mobile is always in a silent mode. And it is actually not even in a vibrate mode because I don't want those distractions. And for the kind of work that I'm doing right now, I know the heavens don't fall if I don't respond in an hour. So for this session, for instance, I just said, okay, I'm going to kind of stop everything else. So avoid all kinds of distractions. And whenever you feel that you're not able to focus, I think breathing exercises definitely help. While we all laugh at pranayama or think that it is only for the older people, just take a deep breath, 3 deep breaths, and go back without any distractions, and that will help. Particularly as you're preparing for the exams, I mean, this might sound like an old woman talking, but those are things that really, really work.
If Manisha is online, probably Manisha can also chip in. Manisha, would you like to add something?
I don't see her actually, I only see you and me. So.
Rakesh, is Manisha online?
Yes, ma'am. She's in.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes, Nisha.
yes. Manisha, there's a
The
question
switching
about.
on of video and audio took some time.
Oh, okay. So this question from Sahiti Uma answered. I think I like both the solutions that she gave a lot. How to improve your concentration while you're preparing for something? I mean, as students, I think it's very important for them. And what is your mantra? I mean, what do you do to improve your concentration?
I time box my, actually, I'll tell you, when I was a student and I had to focus on studies and get things done, I would say, okay, this is the syllabus which is there. And then I would time box the syllabus that this chapter I should complete in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, or whatever. Typically, I would do it with number of pages. So I knew I have to complete this much in this day. And when I have to do it, then obviously I put the timer and I'm focused on completing it in that time. So there is no distraction. I was lucky that in those days we didn't have mobile phones. So, so it was easier. But right now also I'm studying for a course. Actually, even today when I go back to office in the car, I'm going to study. So, but I'm using the same mechanism that put the phone on silent, and I know that I have to complete it in this much time and do it. And sometimes I also treat myself after that. Like, say, for example, one particular chapter I do, or my today's portion I've completed properly. In that case, I'll say, okay, then I deserve an ice cream. So I'll treat myself. Or
That's a good.
sometimes I'll go online and do some Insta, or my favorite is Pinterest more than Insta. I do lots of Pinterest. So I'll treat myself to some Pinterest. Yeah.
Okay. And the next question is from Anjali. She said, "Madam, need your guidance to choose career path for degree students. What should be the career path?" This is like a profound question, but if you would like to attempt an answer,
Uma,
is
why
this
don't you take it first?
Marisha, you go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
see, what I've observed is that it's not about which job you take or where you work. What is important is um, whatever work you do, you put your best foot forward in it and keep your eyes and ears open about what is happening in the particular industry and prepare for that, because nowadays skills are skills are very fragile, in the sense different new skills, new technologies you have to learn. So if you know कि, okay, this is where the scope is, or this is what I need to learn, then you need to learn those things, right? So doing your whatever is on your hand, whatever job you get, giving it your 200%, and keeping your eyes and ears open for where should I go next, will take you ahead. Um, let's say when somebody is has done maybe BA economics, and um, person who has done BA economics, if that person becomes CEO of a large, very large IT organization, it sounds fictional, right? I mean, BA economics, IT organization doesn't match. While we have people from Stanford and we have people from IIT, how can a BA economics person become CEO of a IT organization? But that is the story many leaders have written. Let it be Mohit Joshi, who has become CEO of Tech Mahindra, or um, or the CEO of Mindtree. I'm not getting his name. Nirja, we were planning to invite him.
Debashish.
DC, yeah.
Debashish Chatterjee. Debashish Chatterjee.
Devashish Chatterjee, no, not that.
Not that?
Mindtree.
Oh,
Mindtree.
okay. I know.
We were going to invite him as a keynote. He's in US, so we could not get him. Yeah, so there are many such success stories which are written. So it simply means that whatever job, whichever company you're working in, does not matter. That doesn't decide your future. Your future is decided based on, are you doing your job at hand, the 200% of your capability, and are you preparing yourself for the future which you visualize for yourself or you've dreamt for yourself. Do take whatever job you get, especially from campus. Believe me that getting a job itself is a big achievement. So what salary it is, what job it is not the most important question. Most important question is, do you have a job? Are you getting a job from campus? Take. If you have multiple jobs on offer, then take the one which gives you maximum ability to learn.
Okay. I will give us like, sorry, you're done, Manisha?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay. I'll give a slightly different angle. It's not contrasting, but again, I'm a big fan of this pace of change that's happening in the industry and how we all need to be prepared. Today, whatever we start with, as Manisha said, doesn't matter. You could start off as an economics student, whatever. Again, even your first job doesn't lay a path to your growth. My suggestion is right now, analyze what your interests are and what your priorities are. All of us have certain priorities at different stages of life. Today, your priority may be financial security. It may be learning more and more because you already have somebody or something that takes care of your basic financial needs. And there could be others where you have other passions in life apart from a career. Let's say you're a dancer, you're a writer, you want to pursue those. Consider all this and then accordingly pick up the first job. But it is definitely important that all of you have your own financial independent means. Now, that may or may not be something that will afford you luxuries, but something that will take care of your basic needs so that you have that essential security. Now, beyond that, as I said, look at what your current priorities are. Do you want to learn a lot? Do you want to earn a lot? And on basis that, pick up your first job. And once you get to a certain point, that's when, because all of us will change, right? I mean, again, if you're living up to 80, I'm sure if you look back 10 years ago, what you said you want to be is not the same as what you want to do now. Similarly, 10 years later, what you want to do will not be the same as what you've set as your 20-year path. So as you start your career with some of these basic things ticked off, look at what additional things are emerging, right? I mean, there could be a lot of like whatever, chat GPT, maybe makes a lot of careers obsolete in another 5 years. Now, as new information emerges and as your own personal situation evolves, identify what will meet your priorities and criteria at that point in time and take a call. There are a lot of options today, unlike probably about 30 years ago when I started my career. For all of you to uh, work in fairly good paying jobs, but are in absolutely different industries. I mean, when I started my career, I know whatever is considered as a beauty industry today was considered a barber or a tailor kind of thing. But today we all know the kind of money that they're making. They've identified their area of their expertise plus passion is in business as well as in design or something creative. I've looked at it as mine as basically I work hard and I know I'm more scientifically, kind of inclined. So I've chosen a career at that point in time. But what I'm doing today is very, very, very different from what I started my career with. I've taken some 3 or 4 pivots through my career. So don't be bothered about where you will be 20 years down the line. Assess your interests now. And as I said, don't bother about your strengths. If you work hard, everything will become your strength. Just pledge yourself that you'll work hard, you'll be financially independent, and whatever your current criteria is, you pick up a job based on that. It could be something that gives you free time. It could be something that makes you learn a lot, but works crazy hours like 18 hours a day. You will enjoy. I'm telling you, if it is in line, in sync with your current priorities, you will enjoy it. I hope I've not confused you further, but please feel free to call us also later. That's absolutely fine. Anybody who's telling you pick up this job or pick up the first job that you get probably is guiding you based on your current situation. But always make sure you have that long term perspective in your career, that you will make a lot of pivots and be open and inviting of that change.
Very
That's
well
one.
said, Uma. I'm also learning.
Yes, yes, that's what I'm saying. Wonderfully answered.
That's
And
where we
Very
started.
nicely
We're all
said.
learning. Yeah.
the person that you were referring to, Manisha, Subrata Bakshi from Mindtree.
Subratavach. Exactly.
Happiest minds, right?
Yeah.
So there's one question I doubt whether you have an answer for it. Someone has asked um, how how to distract from social media, like how to avoid distractions from social media, like FB, YouTube, Insta, etc. I don't know if you have answer to it. Would you like to attempt?
I'll try to attempt, Nirija, but I just wanted to tell you that it's 4:11. And do you think we can close by 4:15?
Yes, yes. I think we're
Um,
almost done. We have just one more question, so after that we can close.
a distraction from social media, the thing which I do is I have my to-do list and I go by that. So there's no scope for getting distracted by social media. Um, and for most of the important things which I have to do, I put alarms. So it tells me that I need to get back to work or I have something else to do. So if I'm on social media, which is very addictive, you can't switch it off. There's always one more
One more.
swipe you want to do, yeah, one more Pinterest pin I want to see, few more quotes I want to learn and read on Pinterest. So it's very addictive. I think they've designed it that way. Important to put alarm for all the important things, like maybe it's your sleeping time, maybe this is your time to join a meeting or some studies you have to do. So I put alarm that
Yeah,
wakes
to-do
me up.
list and alarms. I think very simple solution, but very effective. I think to-do list because it keeps you aware that what you have
I
still
know
to
I
accomplish.
need to complete this today, and after doing one thing, that's another thing which I have to do. So there's no scope for straying. If I have to talk to 4 people, I have to talk to them, right? So it's one after another and I finish. Okay, Uma, over to you.
No, that's what's Let me tell all the students online, we haven't mastered it yet. We are all, as I said,
Honest answer.
on that S curve, we are all probably a little inching towards that acceleration. But what Manisha said in terms of having the to-do list is something that we all do. So actually, first thing that I do when I log in the morning is check all the things that I need to do. And I know that I'm not leaving without those being completed for the day. And anytime I go into a meeting, I don't take my mobile along. As I said, I'm convinced that the sky will not fall if I don't respond in an hour.
Now I
And
know why I can't reach you so many times.
yeah, so I don't take it. If I'm in a meeting, I don't take it because I feel I'm being disrespectful of others in the meeting when I actually constantly check my messages. And sometimes when I really want to do some serious work, I actually unplug the internet connection at home. I know my husband curses me, but that's something that I do so that there's absolutely no distraction. And all of us, by the way, let me tell you, assure you, all of us are in a learning journey because, as Manisha said, it is designed to be addictive. And we all have to define our own tips and tricks to move away from that addiction.
So there's
Very
a
good
very
question. Actually, I'm glad that a youngster realizes that this is important.
Are thinking about
Yeah.
it. I mean, that's very important that they're
Yeah,
even
somebody
thinking
thinks
about
that,
it.
okay, there is a problem and we need to understand how to solve it. That itself was nice to know.
And this last question, Manisha, I think considering HYSEA is celebrating Women's Day celebrations throughout this month. I mean, we are observing Women's Day throughout this month. I think I can't resist asking you. Um, I mean, who were your heroes? I mean, you've had a checkered journey to the top, both of you. Who along the way have inspired you, in your journey? And the question that Shanti from, I don't know which college, but she's asking, Madam, how do you define success for yourself? So probably if you can combine both these questions and quickly answer, 1 minute each.
How do I define success? I define success as my dreams coming true. So um, I'm just walking towards my dreams one day at a time, 1 inch at a time. I'm trying to cover the distance. So that's what success means to me.
And
And
who has inspired you
that's
in your
what
journey?
keeps me inspired, that I'm walking towards my dreams, and very small things which happen in life. And I say, oh, really, this is happening? I always dreamt that I wish I could do this and I wish I could meet this person. And my dreams are not like necessarily very gigantic. Of course, the gigantic dreams are there, but every day, small things, like I call them my dreams. Like, I wish I could do it. That's my wish. So that's a dream. Small dreams sometimes, but makes me feel good.
Thank you.
Uma?
Uma?
You have time, Nirja? Okay.
Enjoying.
Me, I don't have one inspiration. There's a different aspects, different people who inspire me in different ways. And, and then there's some people that really stand out. Uh, just to give you a story, one, I was working in the US and there was a Russian lady who actually was almost exiled from Russia, couldn't speak a word of English. In fact, that's the first person that I've seen a coding book in non-English language. It was actually in Russian. She would constantly keep referring to it. But getting her to understand the requirement was difficult. But once she understood what took mortals like us some 1,000 lines of code, she was able to do it in 150 lines. Now, her journey from kind of running away from a dictatorial country like Russia, reaching as a asylum seeker in the US and finding a job, and the way she would constantly look out for her people back in Russia. That definitely has been an inspiration to me at that time because I just moved from India to US, moved away from quote unquote my comfort zone. And I was just thinking, compared to her, mine is nothing. I was absolutely well versed in the language. English was not a problem. Family was not a problem. Everybody was with me. What am I moving? And similarly, along the way as you go, you find a lot of people who inspire you at that point in time. You learn from them and move on. Like right now, Manisha definitely inspires me with a lot of things. And, some of the things that she says and some of the way, the energy that she brings into leading HYSEA itself. I mean, while also managing a much, much, much larger organization. Those are all things that you pick up from everybody and move on. So don't look at any one person as a role model. Then you will be limited by what they can give you. So look at multiple, inspirations and multiple things that you like in them, and probably that whom you consider as inspiration probably will also be guided by what you define as success. So for me, success again was, as I said, financial independence was very, very, very critical, and not family finances, but something that I can call my own. My own independence was very important for me, and also having impact. I come from a village where my father was the first person to come out, and growing up, we had some 20 people in our house at all times. Even after he passed away 30 years later, several people come and tell us how he's influenced their lives, the trajectory of their own lives. So, to that extent, impact that I have on others is something that I always look at. It could be small impact, big impact, but that is definitely a definition of success for me. So,
Wow.
Nilda.
Uma, need to spend more time with you so that I know about your Russian friends.
Oh, yeah.
It must have been so inspiring to see her drive, and also, in spite of having all her own problems, she is eager to help others.
So
Wow.
basically, to go to a shop, she would ask me because she couldn't talk to the shopkeeper there. But her coding was great, and people would just love her
Uma,
code.
I also don't know Telugu, but I'll not come into that category.
But all of us have a common language, right? English. So
I know. I'm just kidding.
actually,
But yeah.
first time I've seen a computer book in Russian. She had Oracle
Yeah.
SQL, Oracle DB, a book in Russian.
We thought like C is the English language for us. It's like,
Absolutely.
it has
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
English. It can't be any other language.
Yeah. Anything else, Nirja? I think I'm to conclude.
No, I think I'm not feeling like, but I think we will have to close this session. But before I close, I would like to thank few people without whom these sessions would not be possible. A sincere thank to Shrikant Sinha, CEO of Task. He's always willing to collaborate with HYSEA, whether it is Wind Talk series where we're doing for emerging technologies, Ignite Spark for where we're doing for young women. He's always there to collaborate with HYSEA, and a big thank you to Shrikant Sinha, Task, and the entire Task team. Sugnakar, Rakesh, always there to help us. Thank you so much. And from HYSEA team, Radhika, who coordinated with Sugnakar to make this session possible, a big thank you. And thank you to both of you for the wonderful insights, wonderful. It was a learning for me too. So growth mindset is something now I just don't know something good to have, but I have seen the structured way that Uma presented it, yet made it
Yes.
very simple. There was no technicality in it, but she presented it so beautifully that people will remember it and they're not
Absolutely.
forget it in a hurry. So thank you so much, Uma, and thank you so much, Manisha, for being here and starting this Ignite Spark series, such a positive note, growth mindset. I'm sure our next sessions, we have some sessions planned every month. The students will get to know the details, the exact date and time through a task mailers. But we have some very interesting sessions, follow-up sessions as part of Ignite Spark, and you will hear more about it. So the next session we're planning is on decision skills. So I think, and one very important thing I wanted to share with the students out there is we will be taking the most interactive, most interesting question from the sessions that we are organizing. The students who have asked the most interesting questions get an opportunity to interact with leaders like Manisha and Uma in person. So you will get that opportunity. So please make sure that next time when you come in, you have the best questions to ask. You're most attentive and you ask the best question. So we will pick the best ones out there, and you'll get an opportunity to interact in person with the leaders, maybe spend a day in their organization. So there are a lot of possibilities which can happen if you're active participant. So please make sure that you spread the word about this program within your campuses, and make sure that we build a very, very good network of young women out there. I think networking is one of the most important way to go. So please make sure that you spread the word about Ignite Spark within your campuses, and make sure the next time we have maybe 2,000, 3,000 people logging in. I'm not sure how many people logged in this today. I'll get to know later from Rakesh. But we want to make it a big moment where you get to listen to leaders, sometimes in person, sometimes through virtual sessions, and sometimes spend time with them in their campuses and understand how they operate. I think this will be a wonderful opportunity for all of you. Please make use of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Neeraj. Thank you, Mom. I think
Thanks,
we
Ma.
need
Thanks,
to
And
Nirja.
sorry,
Nisha.
before we log off, I just forgot to introduce myself. Just a brief sentence about me. I'm Neerja. I'm Director and Head of Operations for HYSEA. I'll be happy to interact with you. You can write to me at neerja@hysea.in or info@hysea.in for any questions. Please reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you. Thank you.
questions and suggestions.
Questions and suggestions, and what would you like us to do? We'll be very happy to take it up, all your suggestions, every feasible suggestion.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Logging
Thank
out
you,
now.
ma'am.
Bye,
Thanks,
team. Wishing
Rakesh.
you all the best.
All
May
the
all
best.
your dreams come true.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you, Rakesh. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you. Bye.